Hello friends, and welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. This is Cassie. Today we're going to be making a Slimline card using some Trinity Stamps products. So let's talk about what we're using. This first product is called With Gratitude, and that stamp is just super pretty, and here are the matching dies, and you'll notice that one is a little bit different. We're not using that different one today. That will cut out a whole panel, which is pretty cool. We're also going to be using the 6x9 Slimline Stripes stencil and then the Modern Embossed Frames panel. So let's cut down our paper for our Slimline. I just have a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. I'm trimming off 4 inches so that way I'll have my base and then my panel, and I'm going to grab out one of those Slimline Stripe stencils. I'm going to grab this one that goes horizontal, and then we're going to just kind of tape down our panel to our glass mat, and then we'll tape down our stencil right over the top. But before I do that, I've decided I want to make sure this doesn't move, so I'm going to use some pixie spray on that. I'll take that outside, make sure it's good and ventilated out there, and then I can stick down my stencil right over the top, making sure everything is lined up. But by using that pixie spray, I make sure I'm able to ensure that the stencil doesn't move around. I'm going to pull out some Blackout ink because I love how dark black this is, and of course Miles wants to come in and see what we're doing. I've grabbed a blender buddy, my black one, and then I'm just going to blend this black all over through the stencil, and I want to make sure that it is nice and bold. I suppose you could probably just take your ink pad right to the paper through the stencil, but I wanted to make sure that it didn't seep underneath because this is a pretty juicy ink pad, and so using the blender buddy makes sure that I don't do that. Now I'll pull away my stencil and you'll see how bold and beautiful that background really is, and then I'll clean up my mess. Next, I'm going to stamp out my image, which is that beautiful flower from the With Gratitude stamp. So I'm stamping that out with that Blackout ink onto some Express It cardstock. This is alcohol marker friendly, all those products. And now I'll start my coloring. So originally I was just going to do a 2-color blend with this green and also with the pinks that I choose for the flower itself. And so I'll put down my first color, which I like to go lightest to darkest, and that color is YG23. So I'll put that color all down, and then I'm going to come in with a mid-tone. Now originally this was going to be my darkest tone, but once I saw it on there, I knew I needed another color. I like it, it's great, and it is nice and dark, but I wanted it to be pretty dramatic, especially with the black bold stripes for the background. I wanted this to really stand out too. So I pull in a G19, so that is definitely much darker, and I'm just putting little bits of that, and then I'll come in with my mid-tone, which was the YG17, and I'll blend that just a little bit, and then of course come back in with my YG23 to make sure that the YG17 is good and blended. Then I'll put some Y08 for the inside of my flower. I do come back in and change that up a little bit, but we'll move on to the flower itself. The petals, we've got some RV04. I started off doing flicking, but then I realized I wanted to cover the whole flower. Now, if you wanted to leave some white space, flicking is a great way to do that. So you would start off just flicking into that, and then you could either leave it as is or try to blend it out with even lighter colors. I am starting with that that RV04. That is my lightest color, and like I said, I do pull in 3-color blends. My next color will be RV09, and here I'll come in and actually do the flicking. And you'll notice I don't always go to the edge of the petals. That will leave the illusion that they might be a little bit rounded, have some depth and dimension to them. And then when I have the RV09, I'm going to come in with an even darker RV color, so that will be the RV19. It's not a whole lot darker, but it definitely adds just a whole nother element to it. So like I said, it's not crazy dark, but it is definitely a standout. And so then I'll work backwards from there, going in with that RV09 to blend out the RV19. And then once again, I will come in with the RV04 to blend that. It just softens the flicking edges just a little bit so that everything seems a little bit more cohesive and blended. I did forget about the bud, so I do have to bring in the RV19 again, and then we'll work backwards. After that's done, I'll come in with some Y28 in the center just to add a little bit of differentiation. And now we're going to tape down our die just using a little bit of purple tape, and I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. And next I'm going to grab out that Modern Embossed Frame Panel Slimline die. I love these. These are quickly becoming a favorite of mine because yes, it looks like they just cut out a slimline, but what you don't see, and I'll show you later, is that it gives this beautiful embossed edge. It's just, I don't know, it's real classy. I'm going to come in and do a little bit of gold splatter because with that black bold background we need some gold splatter on there. I just love how that kind of breaks it up just a little bit. And I mean, you always love the splatter. And yes, I did decide to keep these little panel, or the outside piece. I'm going to trim this down and we're going to use that on the inside of the card. So did all sorts of flicking there. Here is our base. That was cut to 7 inches by 8.5 inches, and I'm scoring it at 3.5 inches, and I'm using my Teflon, my Trinity Teflon Ergonomic Folder. I love that thing. And here I'm just taking a look at how things are going to go. I'll trim down those little pieces of paper, and I'm going to put those on the inside of the card. What that'll do is it'll just bring in that cohesion from the outside to the inside. And then I'll make sure that it folds well, and then we'll glue down our panel. I want to show you just how gorgeous the splatter is and then that embossed edge. So I'm going to bring that up here just to show you how beautiful that is. Nice and embossed edge. To attach our flower, I'm going to use foam tape, but before I do that I need to pick out a sentiment. I decided, instead of using the sentiments that came in there, even though those are great, I decided to use the Thankful For You from the Thankful For You stamp set. I know this is more of a fall stamp set because the little gnomes in there have their pumpkins, but I love mixing and matching my sets. It's just makes them, it feels like they have more mileage, and you know, that's awesome. I did use some black cardstock, and I'm stamping down my sentiments using some juicy embossing ink. I'll cover that with some gold embossing powder, and then I'll heat set that till those are smooth and melted. And then you can see just how pretty that looks, all melted. It ties in that gold splatter too. Black and gold, so classy. I will tape down the matching dies over the top of those, and then I'll run that through my die cutting machine as well. And I love how Thankful just cuts out all around it. But here I'm adding some foam tape to the back of my flower. It's going to be the only dimension we add, and Max now has to come in and take a look as well. Peel off all that release paper, and then we're going to attach down our flower to the front. Sorry about my hat. I'd had a Zoom meeting, so I needed to cover up the hair. I forgot to take it off. All right, and now we're just gluing down Thankful and For You. And once we're done with that, that's actually going to finish off the card. I love how this one turned out, and I would love to know what you think of it. Go ahead and leave that down in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already done so. And be sure to check out all that Trinity Stamps has going on, whether it be on our Facebook page, our blog, and in the store. And as always, thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.